Hey friends, welcome to my channel. It's Dr. Rani here. I'm a holistic psychiatrist and a coach. This video is going to be different from the other videos because I'm going to talk about being vulnerable. Me being vulnerable, you being vulnerable, and the freedom in being vulnerable. So what do I mean by this? Crying is an emotion we don't want to show in public. When we have tears of joy and we are laughing, we seem to be okay with that. But if we have tears and we feel very uncomfortable with those tears, then we can judge ourselves and we can feel extremely vulnerable. And I know for sure what happens when I can't express myself, when I try to suppress my emotions. I've come a long way in this part of healing, in this personal development journey, and I've done a fair share of crying in front of others or allowing my tears to roll down my eyes, and yet it still happens. And I want to share with you something that has happened recently that has in a way inspired me to make this video. I don't know about you, but in the past I have judged people when they cry. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't judge everyone, but if there's someone I look up to, I see someone as an expert and they feel emotional, I feel uneasy. And I didn't know that the reason why I felt I could not show my being upset, especially when I'm feeling unsafe, comes from me judging others. So I would like to share a story. This is a true story. This happened this afternoon. And I really want to share this with you about our human experience. I am part of a coaching group by a coach called Townsend. And he's an incredible coach and he is a very, very impactful coach. And I knew about him a long time ago, and he has got this community called the Coach Operating System, and he helps people, coaches, create offers, be incredible coaches, and build up the business. So I enrolled in this a few weeks ago. And part of the commitment for him offering us this service absolutely for free is that we show up for every fortnightly webinars. We share our insights prior to the next webinar, and we also submit our questions. And if we don't do this, then obviously there are consequences. We will have about 3 warnings, and then you're out of that space because you're not honoring your agreement. And I'm sure there are nuances to it, but this is roughly what I understand. And that space, that container he has created, is a relatively safe container, and people can really be open, the coaches can be open and learn and share what's going on for them and really be coached. That's the whole purpose. So I had attended about 3 webinars, and each time I just kept my mouth shut. I did never put my hand up to be coached, and also I assumed I know what he's going to be coaching me on. I assumed he was going to say something around, well, it's thought and you're creating experiences, or who are you being, Rani? So I had all these assumptions, and so I didn't show up. Whereas the other coaches there, even if they were new to that community, they just showed up. They just asked questions. And one thing I'm noticing about Townsend, especially today, something I notice is he has a heart of gold, and he really, really deeply cares for people. But that does not stop him from being a straight and very effective coach. He knows when we are caught up in our stories, and he can direct us with love back to the question he has posed to us in the first place. So anyway, 2 weeks ago, I had attended this webinar, and I was there on time, because that's the other agreement, be on time or otherwise you won't be allowed in. So I attended this, and I was just being my normal self. I was collecting information, and there was some great information, and I was thinking, right, yeah, this is really good, and I'll see if I can apply it. And I was still playing small. I was still not engaging in the chats and sharing my insights. In a way, I just wanted to be not visible, I guess. That's really interesting, because I talk about being visible and showing up. So anyway, he coached someone, and this is what I heard. I can't remember what exactly he said, but he said something in the lines of, if you can't even come up with a question to ask me, or you're not even interested in building your business or making more money as a coach, you don't belong here. If you are not playing this game, this is what I heard, and if you don't show up, you don't belong here. This is what I heard. And that was my biggest takeaway from that webinar. And I knew that this is not how I like to show up. And I also questioned myself, where else in my life am I showing up in a way so that I'm not judged? People think that I've got it all together, and I just don't go full in. So I knew that the next time I wanted to be in the hot seat, to be coached by him, to also show up, to fully express myself and not hide back. My response to my greatest insight was a long one, but I had also mentioned, this is what I said. I also hadn't felt I wanted to open up, because the webinars are being recorded and you'll be sharing clips on social media. I didn't want others to see me looking dumb or foolish. Fear of being judged. So I have been playing small in this safe container. I want to stop hiding and show up raw, vulnerable, authentic, and fully myself no matter what. That was part of my response to him, to what my greatest insight was from the last webinar. And my question is, I said, can I be picked for the next webinar, even though I haven't got a fully formed question yet? Perhaps the question can be, how do I face the fear of not looking good and dare to go all in, not just here in this group, but in all aspects of life? So that was my question. So today, what happened was, when we started, then he said, who wants to be coached? I immediately put my hands up, and obviously many more coaches put their hands up. And he chose me, although I was not the first one, because he had read my insights and my questions. And when you coach, then your picture comes up and you're pinned alongside him. And so there I was looking at myself, and I was looking at him. Good. And I felt okay. And Townsend was very kind to me. He checked in with me saying, how are you feeling now? And actually I was feeling good. And I then gave him my question. He had already obviously read it. And I also give the context as to why I had that question, just to ensure everyone else in the call understood where I was coming from. And in the chat, I could feel that some people had already started supporting me. And as we started having this conversation, all I can say, it was beautiful. I wanted it. I don't like hiding. I had done hiding for a long time in my life, and I really wanted to see what God created in the space when I just showed up with nothing in my mind other than I just don't want to hide anymore. In a way, what do I need to do? I know the answer and I wanted to have that experience. And as he coached me, one of the things that came up for me was feeling safe. And I did not feel that that container for the coaches was safe enough for me because I was relatively new there and I didn't know many people. That's the story I created, obviously. So there was something about feeling safe. And the other thing was about the fear of being judged. What if others judge me for how I show up? And as we continued exploring, it's really interesting how I thought I had dealt with the fear of judgment, and it still kept showing up from time to time. And at one point I had this insight, because by the time I had already started experiencing my eyes welling up, I was not scared. I was not feeling upset, but it was this feeling of overwhelm, being on the spotlight and feeling exposed and feeling vulnerable. And tears started to pour out of my eyes and I started to wipe it away, and it still kept coming. And then I had a huge realization. The fear of judgment was around me getting emotional and there not being any place to hide. When people can see me exposed, raw, and they see tears in my eyes, and guess what? I had this insight that I was judging other people, or I used to judge other people, especially when I thought that they were experts in their field. I remember I went to a conference once sharing the 3 principles understanding, or the inside out understanding, what I call mental wealth. And the speaker just felt this huge surge of energy and she got emotional and started to cry. I was new to the principles and I felt very uncomfortable. And a thought that came to me was like, whoa, I'm in the audience and you are there, you are a speaker, you're on stage. So you are crying, but you should know better. So you have not got your act together or something like that. And so I was busy judging this person, the speaker. And then in that moment of clarity, when Townsend was coaching me and I was feeling overwhelmed, I realized that that was my fear, because I judge others and saw at some level that when experts cry, or so-called experts cry, then that's weakness. I was worried that me showing up that way would also make people judge me and see that as my weakness. So that was a penny drop moment for me. I felt so free when I saw that, and it really felt good. I am so glad I did it, because I knew I wanted a breakthrough. I was done with hiding. I was done with signing up for something and not showing up fully, because this is what I want my clients, people who work with me, to show up fully, raw, vulnerable, authentic, and not hide because they are worried of being judged. And after I got off the hot seat, I saw all the messages. They were beautiful messages. Everyone cheering for me, everyone supporting me, everyone said, "You get you, we have been there ourselves." Someone said, "I too used to judge crying as a sign of weakness." People said, "We saw your strength, we didn't see you as weak." A couple of coaches later reached out to me and shared that that was very powerful. I felt so free and liberated, and I'm extremely grateful for that experience. And now I can't wait for Townsend to release that clip, because I'm fully on board. I want that to be an example of how we can show up. I want people to see that I have been vulnerable. I felt vulnerable, and it was still safe for me. At a deeper level, I was already safe, except for my thinking about what it means and what people would say. And you might think, "Rani, what's the point? Why are you sharing this with us?" Here's the point. We've all felt emotional in public from time to time. We've all felt embarrassed from time to time. We all want to present our best selves. And what if we all come in a package, our best side, strong side, or even the side we label as weak? And as leaders in our field, be it in your organization, be it in your business, be it in your family, leading your children, leading your loved ones, there's something about our human experience and embracing being human, not hiding away from that, that liberates us. There are 3 points I want you to take away from me sharing this. Crying is not a sign of weakness. We might think it's a sign of weakness. And yes, some people might judge us. But the more we know that when we are crying is never a sign of weakness, it is a sign of release, emotional release. It is a sign that we are experiencing some deep human emotions and we don't need to suppress it. The second point is when we have a fear of judgment, that other people might judge us, it's because we have been judging others as well. And when we see that it's thought, it's okay to experience fear, it's okay to feel unsafe, and as a possibility, it's all made up. We made up that reality based on our habitual thinking, based on our narratives, our beliefs about what is worthy of judgment and what is not worthy of judgment. Guess why? Because we are the ones judging other people and we are the ones judging ourselves. And the more we can stop judging and just be, allow ourselves the benefit of doubt and test it out like I tested it out, we can experience freedom. And finally, the last point is that expressing emotions are like self-care. We are cleansing our system. I know some people say they can't cry. They feel blocked. They feel so blocked. And perhaps they have been suppressing these emotions because they were judged when they were very young, maybe. Maybe they were told not to cry. Maybe they faced consequences of being hit or being abused if they were to cry when they were young children. So I get that there could be trauma involved. But the more we would do some work on ourselves, perhaps seek some professional help, and allow ourselves to experience even the most difficult emotions, we will experience freedom. We will experience some softness. We will experience peace of mind. We will experience healing. There has been so many times in the past where I broke down in front of a colleague at work or maybe my supervisor at work. And some of the time it was because I felt guilt, and some of the time I felt I have let them down or I had not kept my word. And I remember one of my supervisor telling me once, he said, "Rani, stop trying to be superhuman," because I was trying to stop crying. And he said, "Stop trying to be superhuman." I would love to leave you with that expression. Stop trying to be superhuman. Stop trying not to be human. We are experiencing life as a human being. And although all of us would love to experience love, joy, peace, lightheartedness most of the time, or all the time, or not feel any of the painful emotions, we are saying, I only want to be partly human and not fully human. So let's embrace all of us and stop trying to be superhuman. Let us experience whatever we experience. City Banks was right when he said, if the only thing people learned was not to get scared of their experiences, that itself would change the world. I hope you got something of value from this video. This is me sharing from the heart. Let me know your key takeaways, and I'll see you in the next video.